Anyone give the invitation?
Last one is right here.
Anyone give the invitation? I can do it. You can? Okay, Carol, that'd be great. Thank you. All right. Okay, are we all ready, board members? We'll call the Trepo board meeting to order August 9th, 7 o'clock. If you would stand, please, and Carol will give the invitation.
Bow with you in prayer. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. Thank you for those who have gathered here to take care of your business, Father God. I just pray that everything that's said and done brings you honor and glory. I pray that over this entire organization, Father God, we love to come here. We love the beauty of what you've given us at Hitchcock. And I just pray that you will watch and keep your eyes on us. Help us to always watch for you and watch out for each other. May all the businesses that takes place today in an orderly fashion, and that we are always walking in and out of here with smiles on our faces. And it's in Jesus' precious name we pray.
Amen. Amen. You will turn to the flag and will pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, the second Tuesday in August, as we're slowly winding down an extremely hot summer. It's been a very good summer, and we're getting ready for our fall picnic and the elections. It's been a lot of work by a lot of folks to keep things in order, and a lot of extra special jobs. Bonda, thank you for taking on the pressure washing of the deck. That was when we had some rain back in the day. It was very slippery, and thank you for taking care of that. I know you put a lot of effort into that.
Someone fell down, yeah.
So what we'll do now is we will move on to roll call. And who's going to give the roll call?
Glenn Hunter,
Here.
Wanda,
Here.
John Hart,
Yes, ma'am.
Sassy Johnson,
Eel.
Sammy King, Tommy Matthews,
Here.
Joe Nando,
She called me. She called us.
Phil Ray,
She's the Eel.
Charlie Thompson,
Here.
Tom Carroll,
Here.
Terry Hester,
She's also sick.
Nikki Olson, Victoria M.
She's on vacation. I'm filling in the month.
Okay, thank you. I'm here, Bill Grimm, Mary Brailer,
She also asked me excuse.
Lisa Kirby. Oh, Rick, I should have put Rick over the board member category. There you go.
That's okay. Let's get in.
But we got to name him.
Have all the members of the audience signed in? If you haven't, please do.
So did we have any members that didn't call in, or all members called in?
Except for Lisa
Lisa
Kirby.
Kirby.
So-
But everybody else. we
So
got
all
an
other
email.
members except Lisa, okay. So I would ask the board to approve those excused members. I'll call for a motion to approve.
Make a motion, sir.
Motion by John Bryan,
I second.
second by Charlie Thompson. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, we will move on to approve the agenda. Do you have a copy of tonight's agenda? Take a couple moments to look over the agenda. If you have any questions? Call for a motion to approve or disapprove the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Charlie Thompson, second by Tommy Tremble. Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we move on to approve the July minutes. Quite extensive minutes there, Hilda. Would you spend a week on those?
2 weeks.
Thank you for noticing. It was a bit time time it's in.
Yeah, good.
I could actually see the little amoebas in there, believe it or not.
Mama mia.
So, board members, have you had time to look over the minutes? Call for motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Charlie Thompson, second by, is that Rick Holm? Was that you, Rick, seconded, or Sammy?
Sammy.
Sammy seconded. Okay, any discussion on the minutes from July? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to the secretary's report.
Okay, I wrote 2 letters that I sent over to be printed out and certified. Were those done? Yep. So, both letters were dated July 26th, one to Joan Nano, the other to Debbie Jane Chadwick. The Boy Scout letter will be coming probably tomorrow since I leave town Thursday. Will you be around to sign it?
Yes.
Okay, can I send it to you to print it out?
Send it to Terry.
Terry? Okay. I would request that in the future, it would really be helpful for all of those who have an extensive report, such as Bill, and any other report that can be emailed or faxed, or, no, not faxed, photographed and sent to me. That would really be helpful. And also, Charlie, did you get my request for coordination?
I did,
Okay, so you and I just need to get together on that.
yes.
And that's it.
All right, thank you, Hilda. You've been very busy this last month. Let's see if we can lighten the load for you just a little bit. Any other board members have any questions of the secretary? Okay, we'll move on then to Bill Brim, Park Manager's report. And you have a copy of it, board members, I believe.
Oh, that's good. I didn't have the last one. That's good.
You didn't have the last one,
I
sorry.
did.
Got an extra one for me.
No. I don't have an extra one.
Okay,
now.
we'll get it later.
I have it now.
Oh, okay.
You want this time?
Judy,
I'll come in.
she stole one from the set. Yeah, right. Well, I want to, as I did last week, month, I'd like to thank the board for backing me up on all this stuff that I've been going through. The majority of the people in Three Rivers Estates are very appreciative of what's happening at the park. We do still have a couple groups of people, and that will be later on again. I'll discuss it a little bit. And also, generally there's, most of the time, there's somebody there that can pick the phone up whenever I've got my kind of real issue going on. So I really appreciate that. And I've been working with the sheriff's office on a number of occasions too on issues. The gates are still a problem. So if you see people leaving them open or whatever, you might want to just, like I do, I just ask them if they'll close them, and I try to educate them on the reason why. And that's about as far as I go with it. And then we're still having problems with boats coming up in Point Park. And I'll discuss one issue with that coming up. And people are still wanting to park over at the boat ramp and fish and swim in more boats on the shore. Dogs in the parks without leashes is not an uncommon thing to see. And, you know, most of them, they generally know that they're not supposed to be in there. And I don't get a whole lot of trouble with them, except for a few people. And glass containers are still being found in all the parks. Garbage cans, I look in the garbage cans and there's always glass bottles in them, always. Especially on Point Park where they empty out their coolers from coming down the river. Okay? Some of the issues we had, like on first thing, Midpoint Park left the gate open and they didn't have a key, so I asked them to leave. And also at midpoint, let's see, I had a gentleman, I went down to, I don't generally go into the parks unless they're unlocked. And then I can see that there's nobody down there or whatever. But at midpoint, it's very common for that park to be unlocked. They just will not unlock it. They just will not lock it. I don't understand why. But I went down there and there's a group of about 4 people. They were up at this end, and there's a group of 2 people down here, or maybe 3, and a dog. And so I went over to one of them, the one down here, and I asked him, would you please lock the gate when you go out? And he didn't agree with the way I've been handling the gate issue and proceeded to give me a really hard time. And he had a tattoo on his back that said Steele, so this will be Mr. Steele. He had a dog in there. He said it wasn't his, but it's his. And he gets right in my face, you know, and I've had that, and we've had other issues with it. So I told him I could either call the sheriff or whatever, but, you know, I went up to, the first thing he said, are you going to tell those people up there? Well, sure I was. I could go around everybody, whoever's in the park myself, and ask them to lock the gates. So I did, and they didn't seem to understand why this guy was getting so irate at me, you know, and they didn't understand it. So I just left, locked the gate, and figured I'd just write it in my incident report in my book. And I write an incident for just about every gate I go to, even if if it's opened or locked or whatever. And I put a time by it that I've been there. And if there's something happens, then an instant longer, kind of shorthand, and I write it up later. Fishing park, there's a group of individuals that they'll go down there and they'll leave the gate open all the time, no matter. I don't even about
Fishing or camping?
Oh, camping park. I'm sorry. Do I have fishing down here? Yeah. I'm sorry. That needs to be changed to camping park. Camping park. The gate's open, I'd say 90% of the time. And there's nobody down there. So people have been there, they just go and whatever happens and they just leave. And I've been given, by these folks, Mr. Steele's involved with that group. McDaniels is involved with that group. They could tell me that they didn't leave the gate open. I said, okay, that's fine. Would you mind closing it on the way out? We're not the gatekeeper. That's what I get. And and last month I gave you where he was, Mr. McDaniels was across and he harassed me and said he was going to kick my ass. And so, needless to say, I'm not going to let him kick my ass. I promise you that. But I'm not going to put up with it either. So I called the sheriff on that one, and the sheriff told me just to back out. And there was really not a whole lot they would do, just turn it over to the board. In fishing park, I found somebody had junked a push mower, and I pulled it out and I'm discarding it. And also removed some wood from a tree that was set up there for a swing. Man, they used about 16 different types of screws. I had to bring all my tools and impacts and everything else to get all the steps down and everything. But it's down. I used the wood over at where you and I were. I spoke with Mr. Baker concerning a lady. She's been putting a canopy out front out here, and I went out to go talk to her, and she was packing up, so I didn't bother her. But I don't know how the board wants to handle that. I do also, if I see some people going in over the gate, I'll call Freshwater and Game and just report them that they have come down and ask people and walk people out of there. So if we all try to do that, that might slow that down there or up there. Brandon Park, had a couple people in there and they they don't have keys. And I talked to them, you know, there's no issue with them. But they're coming in on this, where the fence stops on the right-hand side. The chain link fence only goes about 20 feet back, and they can come in that way. And that's why I asked them, how did you get in? That's all I got to do. So, all right, and on the 4th, I had 2 airboats pulled up here, down here on Point Park. There was about 6, 7 people in both those airboats, and they were pulled up on the shore, and they had a rope tied around one of the trees, one of the stumps. So I walked over there, and I'd already been talking to a couple of members on the shore. I walked over there and I asked them, do you mind, you know, pushing back out in the water? That's all I ask anybody when their boat's up close, if they would mind pushing back out in the water. Well, it'd be like I was asking for their first child. You know, I mean, they needless to say, they had some beers, and that usually plays into a lot of this. And they called me everything but, you know how that is. And so that continued, and so I said, well, I can't deal with it. I gave Tommy a call, talked to him a little bit, and then I called the sheriff, and the sheriff came down, and it's amazing. These guys could really speak regular English whenever the sheriff got there. You know, kind of impressed me that all of a sudden all the cuss words were gone and everything else when the sheriff talked to them. And the sheriff, and it also amazed me that whenever the sheriff walked away to come and talk back with me, how they backed their boats out and they left. The sheriff told me that if they had a problem, call them back and they'll get them for trespassing. Trento family rented the pavilion down here. They apparently didn't know about the glass issue. They had a glass all over, you know, the bunch of it. So I went and talked to them, and they were very, you know, they took care of the problem. It wasn't a fight or a battle. And that happens, you know. It's amazing sometimes. Okay, Sherry Olson had an issue down at Boat Ramp where 4 side-by-sides, 2 of them tried to come in, and she said, what are you guys doing? You know, unlock it. They had a key. She said, you can't come in here with that. And they started giving her a hard time, and I don't think she gave, I think she kind of gave them a hard time back, which was just fine. You know, I've got the gatekeepers back on any issue. She called me at home, and when I got there, she had left. The gate was open, and there was 4 of them down there parked, waiting, I guess, for me. And I had one person had a key, and she had a fairly new person apparently. A few of the guys wanted to, you know, get a little excited about it, and I told them I didn't want to talk to them, but I would talk to the key holder. I talked to her and explained to her, she was a teacher, young teacher, and she said, I do not know the rules, so I showed her the rules on my phone. After she read them, she realized that what I was asking was actually the rules. So they let, I told them, I said, there's other parks around here. They were under the assumption they couldn't take them things anywhere. I said, that's not the case. You can park out front here, you know, but you can't run them and tear stuff up. So they left and they went to another park. Then I went, as soon as I got done with that, I went over, I said, well, I'm here, so I'm going to run over, because Sherry had called me in from home. I said, I'm going to run over and see what's going on at Point Park since I'm here. And there wasn't much going on, so I was getting ready to leave, and one of our members, Maggie Green, and her friend were coming up from the ramp, and they asked if they could talk to me. And they said that while they were coming in, there's a quad, somebody in a big quad that was black and green, and they said it about ran over her friend, making that turn.
In a boat?
No, a quad, four-wheeler, whatever they call it.
Runner, wave runner?
No,
Four-wheeler, on wheels.
it's a four-wheeler. But he was going at a high rate of speed, and just about hit her friend. And so I said, well, there's really not much I can do because I didn't see it, but I can call the sheriff and you can talk to them. So the sheriff came and did some run around out here, I guess, and I went and talked to the board board chairman, and we had a picture of the quad and the person that was driving it. And it turned out to be Mr. Steele, again. The one that was driving down here at 90 miles an hour in front of, or 80 miles an hour in front of Boulder Park the last time. And so I showed the picture to Mrs. Green, and she said that was the person, that was the four-wheeler. And she said she'd be more than willing, when I talked to her on the phone again, because she's got a meeting with tonight, she'd be more than willing to fill out an incident report and email it to me, so you'll have an incident report from her. She's a member. Besides that, I haven't let these guys alone very much, and Vonda, but, and it's great to work with a team of people that want these good things to happen in this place, in the park, and they want the kids not to have to learn a new language, a cussing language, and that I feel the same way. So,
Well, Bill, let me. That's a good report. We appreciate all the work that you're doing, but please remember something. It's not you they're targeting, and so you don't need to take it personally. This is what the board, through our membership, has put in place to try and manage our properties and create a good community environment here. We do have about 5 or 10 that are acting out. The more documentation, the more pictures, the more statements that you can get, this board that can declare these people members not in good standing, we can take their memberships away. So if we want to keep playing this game, we can keep playing these games. Now let me explain why right now everything that you've said about gates being left open, when the gate's left open, we're allowing non-members to come in, which we have no idea who they are, or what control or whatever that they might bring. Dangerous animals, because we've made it very, very clear. Specific parks, for instance, you mentioned about the boat ramp park. The board, through several years, has discussed the safety issue at Boat Ramp Park. Because of the number of boats that we're dealing with, that had to stop being a recreational park, swimming and fishing, because the boats were dangerously in a position to harm or hurt children. Children were not even getting out of the way. We witnessed all of this. So to go a little step further, we're still in a lawsuit, and we deal with lawyers that want to sue us. And they want to sue us because we don't work to enforce our rules. So if we don't work to enforce these rules and put these rules in place, we're going to get sued. And it's only going to be that 5 or 10 people, because of their actions, that are going to cause this and ruin it for everyone else.
well, they keep telling me they're going to sue me
And
and the board.
but Bill, please understand. But Bill, understand something. It's not about you. It doesn't matter. It's all these board members here are taking a lot of crap from the same 5 and 10 people who've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And you know what? We don't take it personal. We have a job to do. And so we're providing, these board members give of their time. They don't get paid. And they work to concentrate rules and make all of our sites and facilities the best they can be, because it's all common property for all of us, and we want it to be the best it can be.
Absolutely.
So what you're doing is documenting it to such a point that ultimately we can continue to go forward. We've built up a track record. Mr. Steele, I've had a couple of incidents with him. Take it personal. But ultimately, Mr. Steele, whatever this board decides, if they want to give him a warning based on what your complaints are, we can send him a letter and give him a warning and make sure that he understands that this behavior continues and it affects the other members because of his not cooperating and working within the rules of the association. We'll take his membership. And we'll do that with anybody. And we don't do it gladly, but we have got to follow specific rules, or we're going to continue to deal with all of this. And I think we've come an awful long way.
People tell me they don't come to the parks on the weekends at certain times because of these
Right.
people.
Mr. Trammell?
Mr. Chairman, we knew this was going to be a difficult job. We knew at best it was a difficult job. And And it's gonna be a work in progress and an educational process. So I think over a period of time, and of course, that's the reason we chose Bill, because we knew he could handle it. I know it's tough. Believe me, I've been in that position where you bite your tongue in two, but
Yeah, I know.
more times you can count. But anyway, it's an educational process. It's gonna take some time, but I think it'll improve over time. And I think that what we can do, where we can do it, is, as the chairman pointed out, document, and then if we can identify the troublemakers, then at a minimum, we could send, as he mentioned, a letter warning them. If this occurs again, then we'll suspend your park and ramp privileges. But I think it sounds like Mr. Steele's a repeat offender, and I have no problem whatsoever, voting to support sending him a letter. But I think you're just gonna have to be patient, and as the chairman pointed out, don't take it personally. Back away, don't put yourself in a bad position, call law enforcement, vent on us if you want, but don't let it get to you, because it will, and if you let it. But I think you're doing a great job, and you just gotta hang in there, be patient. This thing's gonna change over time. It's gonna change, I promise you.
It personally does not really bother me because I know you guys have my back. That's the main thing. And I think you realize that I'm not gonna go beyond, I'm not gonna go down to Salem Avenue, that person is. Many years in the fire service, I've had to deal with these type of people many, many times. And yes, the hair goes up on the back of your neck, and you wanna bite your tongue off.
Well, let's go ahead and, what's the pleasure of the board? You've heard Bill's
Can I
report,
ask
is
one
there?
question?
Yes.
The numbers in parentheses, is that the time?
That's the time.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. I thought maybe that was the key number to begin with, and
No.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay, sorry.
So does anyone else want to respond to Bill's report or take any action? Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Do we want to address Mr. Steele here? Was he actually identified as the person
Yes.
almost running over someone who was
Yes, and-
positively identified?
I showed them the picture that,
We had pictures, and they reviewed the pictures, but let me say this too. He has been identified as one of the ones that's tearing up the roads. That's a matter for law enforcement. However, if we continue to cite it, if people continue to see it, and then we get these letters to the sheriff's office and the state's attorney, we've had enough, ultimately they're going to have to do something. So if these individuals want to continue to do this, we've now identified a green and black four-wheeler. And I'm not trying to single this person out, but he continues to do this, and he doesn't respect authority, because I dealt with the same thing Bill's dealing with on one particular incident. But he can stop and everything can be fine, if you understand where I'm coming from. But
He has been identified. That's the main thing we've identified him. Is
yes,
that correct?
yes.
that's correct.
And he's posed he's caused problems for us, even though it's on county roads, by virtue of placing people or kids, dogs in jeopardy by way of his reckless driving and behavior.
Along with disrespect in the park. And so it's not just one thing that's the most dangerous that just occurred, but being disrespectful in the park.
This is the individual. The board can look at it, that way you'll know.
I will tell you that if we don't move forward, be consistent, and act, we are setting ourselves up for future liability.
Mr. Chairman, if you'd allow me to, I'd make a motion that we send Mr. Steele a letter of warning and advise him that if it happens again, that his park and rent privileges could be suspended by this board.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Trammell. You heard the motion. We have
I'll
a
second it.
We have a second by Charlie Thompson. So is there any discussion on the motion to send a warning to Mr. Steele? Yeah, he is a member. You certified that?
Yeah, him and,
But that's all, we're just talking about him,
he's
so.
a member.
Okay, we have a question. Bill?
I'm sorry, I may be out of order here, Mr. Chairman, but if you're going to send Mr. Steele a letter, you need to have some documented specific cases that you're going to deal with of his misconduct or violating the rules of the parks. Just to send him a letter and say, in general, you're misbehaving, he's going to spit it right back at you. You don't have anything to hold yourself to the water with later.
And I appreciate that, Bill. Every bit of input helps, and Hilda's been doing a real good job in helping us put those details together. So we will work on that, make sure that's in the letter. Thank you.
And I have documentation.
Any other
Depending on which one you get.
there's discussion by the board on the matter? You have a motion to second, so we'll call for a motion. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll move on now to the treasurers. Yes, sir.
I'm starting to get a little frostbite. I think we can turn this air conditioner down a little bit.
I ain't gonna say a word.
Cold?
That ends.
It's cold.
Oh,
Plus, I
Can we
can't
get you
hear.
a blanket?
why don't you come up here and sit
No,
up
it does sound
here?
better. It was loud.
We'll open the window for you.
Yeah, I was down to hear what you said.
Are you okay now? We're gonna stop, okay? Good. Okay, we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Carol, Vicky's out of town.
Right.
Thank you.
If you'll refer to your report in front of you, you'll see their balance in the checking account is the 48,783. The savings account still has the 50,000, 2220. The checking membership is 22,950, and that's because we moved 50,000 from the membership account over to our active account so that we can pay our bills and not be overdrawn. And as you see further down, we had expenditures of checks this month amounting to, with our auto drafts, $14,893. We got 12 cents in interest. We had 4,670 additional membership monies coming into our membership checking, and electronic deposits were $705, which meant we had $5,411.12 that came into our account. When you look at a P&L report, this is why I did a pretty little colorful graph for you this time, so you can visually see the differences, because when I look down and I see a negative P&L, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's really going on? But P&L does not give you a true report of the entire, this only gives you this month, which means we spent $14,000, we only took in $5,000. So your P&L never looks as good as it does when you look at a report. You see our income was really great in January, February. We were underspending all the money coming in. So then the little pie chart that you see on your third page kind of shows you where our expenses are going. Columbia, Swanee, the park management, and the different little icons. You'll see that on your page 3. So I just wanted you to get a visual to know that you are in good shape. That means you do have $121,000 with the bank right now, and we're coming into membership. People are starting to, getting ready in the fall to start paying their dues again. So you'll accumulate another $80,000 over the next 5 or 6 months.
Okay, Carol.
Things will be good.
Thank you for that report. Do we have any board members have any questions of the finance report and expenditures for the month? So we will need to get a motion to approve the finance report and the expenditures for July.
Make a motion.
Motion by John Bryan,
Second.
second by Charlie Thompson. Any discussion on the finance report and expenditures for the month? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on now to the president's report. Vonda, you gonna, oh, Mickey, okay, Mickey, that's good, thank you.
She's the vice president.
I'm sorry.
There's just a couple of concerns. A member is desperate about people living in the shed, and they're putting raw waste on the ground, and that's been turned over to the health department. And And then there's a member in long-term standing, wants to know if we could have a reserved area for a drop-off. They drop somebody off, like out front of the gate, Yeah.
Explain how that works, and then you're talking about designate
A spot.
a separate
Out front.
drop-off area.
Yeah,
So people to pull their trucks in, drop people, or cars and drop people off, and
right. 'cause
as
that's why-
opposed to, yeah, because you're working out here, you're seeing the congestion in the front,
Oh, yeah.
okay? Do you have a suggestion on how that would be done?
She's just passing it along.
In addition to the emergency, the handicap spot. Is that what we're talking about?
It's not big enough, is what you're saying
Yeah,
now.
it's not big enough because you got that little walk area. There, you go walking and they're setting them on the other side of the other cars on the walk area.
I'm worried if you do that, then that person that pulls in, then still has to pull out. And if it's on those busy days,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, what does anybody else have?
Yeah.
That would be my concern.
Why don't we just take a look at it and go out there and play with the model and see, because a lot of folks pull up with trailers with people on them, so.
Yes,
um,
What if you put a pop-up in one of those spots on the other side of the handicap, and just say, okay, this is the designated spot, drop your people, they have to stay in that little tent until you get ready to get back.
Right. I think we got a lot of options. So, yes, ma'am.
Why do we use this part? I mean, because during the weekend, I mean, why not? No one's really here. This is really not utilized.
It's been filling up.
Oh, it has even this part?
Especially since they put the signs up on the other
Yeah,
side of
once
the road.
those signs went up, if this is stays full.
So the other thing too is we probably really want to look at that because that's a lot of folks are ready to tube. So that's an inconvenience probably for have to walk that far to get back through gates. So we really need to go down there and just play with a model and see how we can make something work. Because I can tell you right now, party of 8 or 10 or 12 coming down the roads, more than likely, if I got to pull all the way down there, we're going to jump out right here in the road, and there really would be nothing wrong with that. So what we,
There's not, but if we could get, if we could get our members to come from this direction going that way, the kids are much safer if you're going this way. You kind of pull forward so that where the poles are, your people can start to get out, get their floats, and you don't have kids going this direction that are running out. So if we could eventually get everybody to go in this direction, well, it just keeps them safer because then you're out on this side. They're throwing their tubes out, they're getting their people out.
so we have
Without cutting
a
across.
drop-off committee now, is that right?
I'm not. It's time to involve all the members.
You want to be on that.
Stretching.
Okay.
Just
One check,
ask.
check your one way.
Okay, one or just a few of us, we'll go play with the model and see if we can't come up. The best time to do that would be on the heaviest days
Saturday.
that we have, yeah. So why don't we do that, take a look at that, we'll come back and make a report. Okay? Anything else you have?
Nope, that's it.
That's all?
Should talk.
Is Terry doing okay? Okay, good. All right, well, thank you, Mickey. We'll move on to the Elections Committee report.
I guess that's me, because Terry's sick, Pam's sick,
Skip.
Mary Terry's not here, Skip's not here, I meant.
Okay.
So, but before I get to that, let me give you the membership numbers. Let me get that out of the way before I forget. So as of right now, the Columbia side is at 626. Swanee's at 208. So our total is 834. Okay, so that's where our membership sits at the moment. Okay, an election. So our cutoff date was last Monday.
Is that for qualifying?
That was for anyone putting in their application to become a candidate. So we ended up with 10 candidates running for board seats. We have 6 board seats available. I'll name those people. One's myself as an incumbent, also Tommy Matthews and Charlie Thompson. We also have James Baker, Jesse Crane, Ruben Lorano, Kathy Riker, which on there it's Kathy, it's her formal name, and Robert Wayne Sellers, so Wayne Sellers, Alex Vega, and Shelda Wilkerson. So those are our 10 candidates. We also received only 4 applications for officers. So since we only had those, they automatically will take those seats because they were already unopposed, as did the alternates. We only had 4 members turn in their alternate applications. Wednesday, and I can tell you who the officers are our current ones. Terry Hester for president, Mickey Olson for vice president, Vicki M. treasurer, and Hilda Bookust is our secretary. The 4 alternates were, did I not write these guys down? Were Stephanie Watson, Judy Brim, hang on, who was our other? Yes, Mike Davis, and who was our other one? I've got also Wednesday, hopefully, we got everything into the printer. So tomorrow they're supposed to be mailing it out, and everyone should be receiving in the mail. Everyone that's member in good standing, I'll send them to the Amanda Cartwright, Stephanie Watson, Judy Brim, and Mike Davis. Those are the 4 alternates. Anyway, so you'll be receiving, I would say, in the next few days, a packet. It's a newsletter. It's just election edition. And in that will be the 10 biographies and a few questions that everyone answered. So you can kind of get to know all the candidates a little better before you make your decision. Also, starting next Monday, anyone that has either called or emailed election@trepo.net or called the TREPO phone number, which is 386-497-3320, you can request your absentee ballot or proxy or whatever you want to request. And those will start going out Monday. And I think they have to be received back by September. I'll look at the dates. All the dates are in that newsletter that's going out. And also, if you do request an absentee ballot, you'll be receiving an instruction telling you how to put it in one envelope, how to mark that envelope. You have to put it in a second envelope to mail it in. We also have the 2 Saturdays prior to, which are Election Day and members meetings on the 8th of October. And the 2 Saturdays prior to that, we'll have several of the election committee members at the up here for a few hours collecting ballots. But you do, if you come to turn your ballot in versus mailing it, you do have to show a picture ID and your key number. And I think that's, any questions on anything? Everything should be.
On those days, if we come up with our ballot, we put them directly into the box.
Yes, you don't pick them up that day. All you can do is drop them in. So if you don't trust the mail system, you may come up and actually put them in your ballot in the box.
What's the last day you pick up an absentee ballot?
So it's in there. You can request it. Yeah, all that's in here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I've got so many dates.
I know.
So, and the election is, from 10 to 1. That was for applications, absentee. You would ask me that because I can't think of it.
That's a fine job. There's a chance I'm doing that.
If you need one, then you ask,
Yeah.
and we'll send it. October, so they have to return by September 1st. Use your own. Okay, they can request up until September 1st. You can request it up until that time. And then the form must be in receipt back to Hilda, because she'll have the ballot box. And also, she's the one that is receiving the proxies
been
by
here long
October
enough for
3rd.
PTO.
So 5 days prior to the vote, everything coming by
If you
mail
see
has to be
ours.
received by Hilda.
Well, when you say that,
Terry will be picking them up from the post office, bringing it to you. You both will sign off how many were received, so that we know exactly the number that's in there. Nothing can be slid in or added. So I think that's it.
And the elections office is gonna.
Yes, we've got the Columbia County Office of Elections. They're going to send us 3 people. We will be paying them. But it shouldn't take that long, I wouldn't think, not like last time. I think a lot of what happened last time is they have a lot of write-ins, and the write-ins were like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, and therefore they had to have a different column, and that was an issue. But with 10 people running for 6 seats, I don't see it would take them that long.
Appreciate
And no one, as far as I know, nobody knows, we don't even know who the people are, so.
Appreciate the work of the elections committee. I think y'all really got it in order this week.
We're practicing now.
Okay, any questions of the elections committee? Of one,
Huh?
the elections committee of one? You're just the only one here, so.
I'm the only one.
Yeah, all right.
One of one, one of
Okay.
five.
All right, we'll move on then to maintenance committee. John, do you have any updates on anything?
Yeah, talked to the welder about getting some grills. Miss Hilda had brought one up on the internet, and I looked at it, but then you paying $130 to get it shipped. So I'm gonna talk with Jason's Welding, and I've already talked to him a couple times, and of course he does a good job. He's expensive, but they're good grills, and I think they'll last us a while.
So are they less than the other one?
I doubt it very seriously, Miss Hilda, but the quality's gonna be better, and I think they'll be thicker metal. See, I bought a couple of them like that one time, and the bottom wasn't very thick. You get them good and hot, they don't last for about 6 months, a year at most.
Okay. Anything else, John?
No, sir, not offhand.
Okay, we'll move on to communications committee. And is that you, Vonda?
Yeah, and then I'm gonna give it to Charlie.
Okay.
I just had a couple things to say, and mainly it's kind of rumor control. There was a post put on our Facebook page regarding the boat ramp and how we're not utilizing the space that's there. But I don't think they really looked into that area, because the majority of that they were speaking of is low-lying wetlands. So I called the building and zoning department, and they said they would not issue a permit for that, and that that would go to like the DEP and the Swanee River Management, and they said there was no way, because it stays underwater so much.
Correct.
It's not like you can take dirt in there and build it up.
Well, actually, the usage on those, there's too much conflict. So that's why the board sometime back decided that would be a true drop-off boat ramp.
But she said, yeah, that's, your wetlands, because they have the maps that we don't have access to online. Another thing I just want to clear up, there's another rumor going around about myself, and I know it's been everybody probably has seen this down on Santa Fe, there's a couple conversion vans, fifth wheel, a camper, and another candidate that is on this list is going around, and the reason I know this, I've had numerous, 6 to date, people tell me that that's my property. It's not my property. I do not own any Airbnbs. I own property, but I have nothing rented, have never rented, and I just want that cleared up. That is not my lot, and if you're questioning it, please pull up the property appraiser site, and you'll see that we own the lot next door, where there's no camper on it. So, anyway, I just wanted to clarify that.
Does this individual know that that's not your property?
Evidently not, but somebody needs to look it up.
Okay.
Probably.
All right. Anything else, Vonda?
That's it.
Okay, Charlie?
Yeah.
All right, it's camera security. We've got all the conduit in at midpoint. Base for the pole has been concreted in. Everything's been run back to the house there. Waiting for that to dry in. We had this really cool idea so that when water got in the pipe, had a nice drain system, but there's a lot of rock in there. So poles like hammer down into the rock. So I had to order a different type of cable that could be underwater and stuff for when the park floods. So waiting on that to go in before we start pulling the cable through the conduit, but that's moving along pretty well. Based on the issues Bill's facing, I want to recommend that we get body cam, such as the sheriff's office uses. think that might be, they're not that expensive, and I think it would probably help him to show us what's going on and possibly keep him safe while he's out there as well. So if you guys would approve that, that would be fantastic. I'll get that ordered. Other than that, everything's been going along pretty smooth.
Okay. Mr. Crum?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that, Ms. Thompson pointed out, that we approve expenditure for body cam and purchase body cam for Mr. Brown. And any expenditures related to that. That's it.
So you have a motion, we have a second? You have a second by Rick Palm. Now, I understand those are about somewhere in the range of $200-300.
That's correct.
Okay, so just so that we're clear on that, that's what the expenditure would be. So any discussion on the body cams? On the body cam?
I
Okay,
think it's a great idea.
all right, we'll call for vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right. Is that, that's your report? Now, at midpoint, we're having a lot of problems with the gate there. We're gonna have to do a little bit of work with that, but the camera will be able to pick up who is coming through that gate and who is locking and not locking the gate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So, and we're working to do this at all of our gates and all of our parks. So it's just gonna be a time thing, but we're gonna have to make sure that our members understand that we have some folks that open these gates purposely so their non-member friends or whatever can come in when they want to come in. And we've seen this done. So going back to what I was saying earlier, to reduce our liability, we've set some rules in place, and we're going to need to act on people violating these rules. And the one thing that we have, of course, will be membership. So I think as we go forward, we can give people warnings. We can make it very, very clear to them that these parks belong to the members, and that's the way we can protect our parks and the safety of our members and our children in the park. So,
And the recorder on at that park is not anywhere close to where the cameras are. So if somebody did decide that they wanted to vandalize said cameras, well, you'd actually have to know where the recorder is, get through 2 locks, and a steel box before you could ever get to it. So somebody was silly enough to do that. Then we got plenty of footage to hand to the sheriff's office. So
good job.
Good job.
Okay, Mr. Trine.
One more thing, Mr. Chairman, if we could, I'd like to try to put together an identification badge that Mr. Broom can wear, either around his neck or can pin it on, something that he can actually show that makes it official that he is the park manager, and people can identify him by name and associate him with Tripa.
Bill, if you'll get me a good picture of you, I'll get your badge ordered and get a lanyard for you.
I don't have any good pictures of me.
You can take one. Somebody's got a phone around here.
Yeah, my camera's really good.
I've got, I gotta make sure she approves it before I put it in.
Just get us a high school picture or something. Yes, Mickey.
I know, when I check people in at the point, if they don't lock the gate, I write it down, so you'll know who you and who did.
Okay.
And then you go behind the locker.
Okay.
That's a lot of up and down. What about getting him a uniform?
We can get a shirt. We can get him a shirt that says I'm not Karen.
We could order him a Speedo that says security on the
There
back.
you go. That'll keep everybody away from me.
Well, that'll keep them out of the parks.
You don't even have to prove that.
Okay, so we'll move on from there. Anything else, Charlie? Okay, so we'll move on to any new business. I think well, as it relates to new business, I think getting ready for the picnic, we've already started working on the food and planning all of that, so we'll move on with that.
I'd like to
Yes,
bring
okay,
up
go.
something. I'd like to get on the agenda for next month and discuss the Springs Protection Zone.
That would be great. I heard you had a very good meeting today, maybe? Yeah. Great. All right, we'll do that. We'll make sure that's there. Any other new business?
It's not new, but just to tag on to your talking about the members meeting, I encourage everyone, all these different issues we're having of these short-term rentals, people coming in the parks that aren't members, they're bringing too many guests in. Be thinking of how you can give us ideas to solve this, because Terry will be running this meeting. Terry's the president, and for those that aren't familiar, the member is to come to Terry and bring her your suggestions, your complaints, and then she then brings it to the board. So this members meeting is for the members. It's for you to speak out. We're not going to have any hollering and screaming and all of that, but bring your ideas. Maybe you've got an idea no one else has thought of, and it kind of gives everybody a voice to speak to all these hot button issues that we have. So we do welcome it. Or maybe there's rules that we don't have, or maybe there's something you feel that's not as pertinent that we already have in place. So be thinking of things, how we can better our community, and bring those on October 8th to share with everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Rhonda. Any other new business? Do we have any old business? Okay. Is there anyone? Yes?
Let's talk about dock.
Now, we've already discussed that in a previous meeting. We actually are working with a couple of quotes, yeah. So we'll work on that and how we can best design that to secure it and to protect that swimming area. So we're working on that. But thank you. And so anyone in the audience that would care to address the board? Yes.
I'd like to know who we're replacing the A-team as a six-member group. Who are those six members that are currently on the board that we're supposed to be replacing? Because Charlie Arnett wasn't on the ballot 2 years ago. Michelle appointed Rick Palm to serve the next 2 years for him. He should really be up for election this year. So I was just curious on who we're replacing.
I've just been through all this. So my position, the three incumbents I just named, myself, Charlie Thompson, Tommy Matthews, Phil Ray, Sassy, which filled in for Mike Wilson. Who's our other one? I'm a visual person. Who's our other person? I've been reading through all these different. Let me look at the pictures. Joan's our sixth one.
So that's the sixth.
So, yeah, Joan, Phil Ray, Sassy, which filled in for Mike Wilson, myself, Charlie, and Tommy. Those are our six.
Okay.
Well, if Charlie Arnett didn't run 2 years ago, which he didn't, then how is his position not up for re-election and Rick Palm's going to fill in 2 more years of that position?
I have no idea. Charlie was in that five
Because
group.
Charlie would have been in, I don't understand what you're saying.
2 years ago, we voted for the B group, which we're not voting for this year.
The five,
The five, right, the B team.
right.
Charlie Arnett's name was not on that ballot. So that means he had to have been in the A team. And if he's in the A team, then he has to.
I don't see how he would have been in the A team though, if we've got all these people.
Because if we didn't vote for him 2 years ago, then we have to vote for him this time. That's how it works. We're staggered.
When we all sat down, the elections committee, and we started from back, I guess it was 80, whatever it was, and we put how many people, how they switched out, because right in the beginning it was different. And then we went through and took from the last few, we went through all the newsletters pulling who ran for what. I'm just going because Charlie was there before I was there. I don't know. But all I know is Charlie's position that he was sitting in goes with these five. There's five of them. So it's Glenn, it's John Bryant, it was Charlie, Trammell, and Sammy King. So he was one of those five.
But we didn't vote him on the ballot 2 years ago. He wasn't on that ballot. We didn't vote
He
him.
had.
I think he was. I believe he was.
Can you pull it?
I think he was.
I thought he was too.
I don't think I have a copy of it.
Okay, so
I don't have anything tangible in front of me.
We'll look into
but-
that.
But
But
he's not on the ballot. He's on the sixth party. And that's why Jim
But I-
mentioned at the last meeting.
But I don't understand because they had so Tommy and I, we're running again. We took 2-year seats. So we came in to fill in for people.
Right.
I don't know who we filled in for, because we were new.
When
And then
Charlie-
we joined along with Phil and Joan and Charlie and, who was our other person? Sassy, which was Mike Wilson. So, I mean, I can report back next month,
That's
but I
fine.
don't
We do
have
that.
anything with me right now so you can look it up.
Okay, thank you, Vonda. Anyone else want to speak to the board? Yes, sir.
All right,
And your name, sir?
Ray Garner. I don't go to the parks on the weekends unless I got somebody visiting. Sunday before last, we're dropping a vehicle off at Point Park for the takeout. I got my dog in the car, and I was told, you can't have your dog in here. I said, we're just dropping the truck off. I'm just showing her where to park. And she gave me a hard time, and then I said, and then she goes, well, you can't have your dog on the river either. I said, my dog can go on the river, and we can get out here. So I don't go on the weekends, but that pissed me off a little bit. Telling me I can't bring my dog on the river, because for 27 years I kayaked on the state park, and now the last 2 years the state says I can't bring my dog in there. But I can bring him in this park. But also, I kayak during the week. And I'm slow, I had knee surgery that went bad, I don't move very fast. And I will bungee Hodar Park gate open. I'm right there, I lock it when I leave. But 3 times now, I've had somebody pull up on their golf cart and give me hell about bungeeing the gate open. One of them took my bungee and threw it away. And I was within 10 feet of the gate, and I said, I'm right here. I can't hold the gate and get my kayak in, so there needs to be something to hold that gate open, and we should be allowed to have it open while we're loading our kayaks. 3 times, and the last time the guy threw my bungee away. I dumped it out, I got.
Well, we certainly need to work on that. Your first name is?
Ray.
Ray, okay. We need to work on that because it sounds like your intentions are honest and genuine.
For years, I lived in here, I'm into my 19th year living in here. Years ago, I put all the butt cans in all the parks. I pretty much quit going to the parks now because I kayak at night now, so it's got too hot during the day.
Yeah, I've seen you out there before.
Yeah.
That's okay. So we'll work on that, Ray, and appreciate you bringing that before the
All right.
board.
Finish talking, I'll talk to you.
And the dog is allowed on the river.
Yes, sir.
Well, I was wondering if maybe we could, as far as like where I can put in and get out, but I gotta have a place to get out, well, done for too. If you have your pet with you there, if it's on a leash, and you're going to the gate, you're not stopping to hang out, if that could be something that the board might entertain as an exemption, as you're disembarking the river and leaving, not
Yeah.
staying there to eat lunch.
That seems most reasonable. Of course, we do have folks that will try to abuse it. They try to abuse everything, but it's unfortunate because pet owners, they like their pets better than their kids, if you know what I'm saying. I mean,
We need to really think about.
we understand that. So we really do need to look at that, but we need to make sure that they fully understand what the purpose of that
Put them on a
is.
leash, take it to the car.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Just for the reason why most parks don't allow animals in, we walk, a lot of them, I wear water shoes. A lot of people walk around barefooted. If you don't know what impetigo is, impetigo is caused by animal urine and feces. And if you allow them, they go, kids are running around, people are running around, get an impetigo. Impetigo is easy to get rid of, but it's still nasty.
The other issue is young kids coming up to a dog that doesn't bite, and they do bite. I've seen it so many times in my career. And then that kid lives with a scar on their face, shoulder, or neck or something. So we need to think about it.
Board, how do y'all want to handle this? Do you want to put it back in our rules committee, take a look? And
Or have them bring up the members meeting. I don't know.
we could do that, yeah?
Mr. Chairman, is there any way that we could get approval from the DEP to have a separate launch area? People want to take their dogs and get location to get out of the river at a certain location, different from where, the people are located. But I mean, it could be just up from Point Park, or it could be just above Hood Park here. Maybe, I don't know if we could do that. I don't know if that's something that the board would be willing to do, but it wouldn't be a play area. It'd be simply a launch area where you can put in with your dog, and it may require something like a dock. But, because I can understand, and we have no authority over the river itself. I mean, I know a lot of people like to think that they do, but we don't. But we do have authority over the parks and the ramps. So where they get in and where they exit is something that we're concerned about, obviously. We have authority there. But if there's a way that we could set aside an area, both to get in and get out.
Much like a handicap area.
Yeah.
Well, could you run something off of this idea that we're going with a separate ramp, but there'd be something, a jet off of that just for an owner and their pets? If you're going that direction, that way it's not directly on the same.
But you have to get back out also.
Yeah, you gotta get back on
on the property, so you got a couple points to look at now. People that have river property, you wouldn't have that problem, so you just go right off your property. We still got to get out somewhere. So I don't know the answer to that one just
A
yet.
lot of discussion
Well,
needs to go into that.
I've kayaked with my dogs for over 30 years. And everybody I know that kayaks with their dogs on a regular basis says dogs know how to kayak and they know the routine. Like my dog, he gets off the kayak, he cools down, he gets for a swim, he walks over to me, I put the leash on him, and a lot of times I'll just hook him to something and let him stay there right there while I'm getting my boat ready to get wheeled back up, or I bring him up to the truck and put him in the truck.
Right, I don't disagree. My wife had a retriever for a bunch of years, and she probably took 5 or 10 times a day, and that dog was always with her going back
Well,
and forth. So
years ago,
that's different.
Robbie Rowe, who was the board, I think he might have had your job years ago, I'm not sure, but he passed away. But he was working on, with me, we were gonna make a little section of fishing park and camping park dog friendly. He was gonna, I even said I would buy him the dog bags and the disposal and all that. And he said, yeah, there's no reason why we couldn't have a dog friendly park.
I think we can probably entertain that again at some point. Yeah. As far as the park goes, that's going to take a little bit more planning, but probably want to get this issue because it is a little confusing with a lot of folks. Yes, ma'am.
I thought that fishing park and camping park already allowed dogs.
Oh, I did, okay, well, I know Robbie said he was gonna do it, I just never knew because he died and we never got to make it dog friendly.
But I
Has to be on a leash, yeah.
really, I mean, we've seen, I had 2 dogs that were not on leash, hit me, when I went down to just enjoy the river and watch the sunset. And she had them off leash and they were puppies. And they were, and I didn't want to control them. She expected me to control them. I said, they're dogs. You need to control them and you should have them on leash and they're not allowed in the park.
Right.
So I'd really, really like to have no dogs continue to be the rule for all the fishing and camping park.
Well, I'm fine with that as long as I don't get a hard time knowing I'm taking my dog to go on the river when we're going in a boat.
And they
And
can't
he's on the
go
leash.
straight to the boat. They can't go to the boat ramp, straight to the boat.
Yeah, if you go
That's
down the
what I
boat
do,
ramp,
He
put them right
stays-
in the boat.
He'll stay right with me the whole time.
Okay. Ray, thank you for bringing up a difficult subject. It's one we got to work on. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Go ahead. Yes.
2 things. One, we need to back up. I just got a message about adding a signer onto the check. She wanted that, Terry, to send me a message.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Do we?
So do you want
Who do you want to recommend?
She gave me a bag.
to, Lynn Martin? Lynn Martin.
Yes, that sounds right.
So because Karen Fonts no longer lives in Three Rivers,
Okay.
then we need to take her off as a signer and then assign someone else.
Are you recommending Lynn?
Lynn Martin.
That's what Terry.
She's
Vicky
available?
and Terry both have asked.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we, recommend her for,
Did Lynn Martin agree to that?
Apparently so.
I heard the husband didn't.
I don't think it said
Bill ain't talking about you like he talking about me.
Okay, we have a motion to approve Lynn as a signer.
Second it.
Second by Charlie. First motion was made by John Bryan. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, does anyone else want to speak to the board? Yes, ma'am.
Susan Johnson. So, I think it was July 4th, we had police that, Oregon made a huge difference. I'm kind of guessing they might be here for Labor Day.
They will.
And so when I was talking to one policeman, he said they had kind of odd hours. They started early and ended pretty early. I don't remember what they were, like 11 to 5 or something maybe.
Don't remember that.
But-
Terry handled that, so.
Maybe they could come a little bit later
When
and
it's,
stay a little bit later. They said that they thought it was odd that they were leaving so early.
I do agree, because that's when people are just.
I agree,
wound
too.
up.
Well, we'll just need to look at what their actual scheduling time is that they're allowed to do that. We can certainly do that,
Yeah, so
if
like,
we can.
Wanda has one more thing.
it's wilder later.
She has it.
than
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's a,
Pay in the morning.
appreciate you bringing that up, Susan. We'll,
Then I only got one complaint.
yes,
That lime rock, if you
Yes.
put down, you go there, you
Yeah.
gotta walk around it
Down
and
where?
carry your feet up. And
Up
I wear,
here?
and I wear Vibram sole water shoes, and it hurts my feet.
Needs to be compacted.
You
Well,
you
I'm-
climb them big rocks like this.
sure. I got a compactor, so we can find a volunteer.
I
maybe-
watched everybody go
In the
all
grass.
around it.
Could you run a compactor?
Yeah,
All
bro.
right, I'll get with you on that then. I'll
Yeah.
get your number after.
You got the big push one, or you got the
I
one?
got one,
that's
it's
dry?
pretty, if you sprinkle water on it, it'll be like a road, so,
Yeah.
all right? Okay,
Anybody else have anything to say, and then I'll come back?
say what?
Back to what Jesse said, I've got the list from 2 years ago when I ran, and Charlie Arnett is on there, and he got 143 votes. So
Okay.
he was on that ballot.
Okay, so that's settled, all right? Anyone else want to speak from the public? If not, then I'll call for a motion to
Make a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Charlie. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great meeting. Always a little off from the truth.